All right. Now we are officially live. We're only 7 minutes late. All right, everybody. As you guys are tuning in, we are doing a live stream today, part two when it comes to meal prepping. And today we are talking about getting it spicy with your meal prep. So we're going to get spicy with Jenn Dittman over here to my right or my left, I don't know, and Coach Haley's as well. So these two ladies, along with myself, while I'm just going to hang out here a little bit, are going to get spicy with you. So I'm going to let in a minute, but hey guys, hi Darcy. If you guys want us to answer questions, we can see you guys the questions in the feed and we will get to them. I'm actually going to do that myself. We can't always see who you are, so let us know who you are with a hashtag, unless you got accepted into StreamYard. Anyway, coming back to that, hashtag I'm here with you're here, what if you're here, but what we are covering today is meal prep. This is the second version or the second go we had on meal prep. So a few weeks ago or a month ago, Jenn and I talked about meal prep and making it easy. And today we're going to continue that conversation about making meal prep easy, convenient, and fun. Because too often we think meal prep has to be boring. And we're going to teach you today, or I should say these two lovely ladies today are going to teach you how to spice up your meal prep. So it doesn't just have to be chicken, rice, and broccoli. So again, I'm going to go back and introduce Coach Jenn and Coach Hales. Take it away, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. We're so excited that you are here. I don't know why she said just chicken, broccoli, and rice, but I mean, I do have chicken, broccoli, and rice. But however, we are going to teach you different ways to cook them, to steam them, to grill them, to broil them. Like there's many different ways that you can cook your meats and vegetables and grains, and many different spices that you can use to make it not so bland and boring.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Good morning. Like I love spice. Anything spice. Like if I'm traveling, I love going to grocery stores in other parts of the country because you get some really cool spices that you might not find in your area. So I cook a lot. I think what Jenn and I want to be able to share is, again, like different ways that we're approaching our protein, veg, and carbs, and how we can just like really step them up a little bit so that they are more exciting. And like you can have chicken and rice and broccoli 7 days a week, and it can taste entirely different depending on how you're cooking it and like what spices you're using and marinades. And I think sometimes we get a little stuck because we're like, we don't know what to do, or we might not be able to, we might not have the inspiration for it. So we want today to be able to give you some extra inspiration to think about how you can mix and match within your kitchen, things that are just like readily available for you, and some best practices to follow, because there are, wonderful marinades out there. There are wonderful spices out there, but knowing when to use them, how to use them, and like making them into a pure meal is, I don't want to say a little bit of an art, but it is kind of an art. Right? I love this stuff. Like my husband jokes, like when our first date was really expensive when he tried to cook me dinner, because he came to my house and I had one pot, one fork, and one plate, and like that was it. And so I didn't cook. I didn't know how to cook, and my husband's in the restaurant industry. So through the years, we have just like expounded, and I love being able to find new inspiration for recipes. So when you guys ever like get your meal plans and you're like, what can I do with this? Reach out into the community and like ask people, like, what are you doing with shrimp and rice and cauliflower to make it exciting? And there are some really cool things that people come up with. So we're going to share some of those today. But yeah, a couple of weeks ago, Jenn had done a live. So Jenn, Can you remind us quickly, like what it was that you covered last time and what we're going to expound on today?
Yes, so we talked about bulk meal prepping. So I showed you within an hour and a half. I had different meats. I had ground turkey, I had chicken and fish, and I showed you different ways of seasoning it and cooking it. And I did my breakfast, I did my veggies and my rice. So basically, I was just showing you that it can be easy to just prepare ahead of time and, set yourself up for success for the week. So that way you're not reaching for those quick, easy foods that are not so good for you.
Yeah.
Have everything meal prepped ready to go. So that way you're eating on your nutrition plan and you're eating healthy and fueling your body rather than just giving it empty carbs that are just going to run right through you in a matter of seconds.
Expand on that a little bit. So those of you guys that are tuning in that may not be part of Aesthetic Freedom, totally cool. What we're really talking about right now and what we talked about last week is to bring you guys back up to speed is one of the reasons we fall off meal plan or we fall off of a system that we're following is because proteins can be some of the hardest things to grab and go because we don't have them readily prepared. What's in your refrigerator that's easy to grab? It's probably things like cheese in your cupboard, it's crackers, it's lunch meats, it's things like yogurt, cottage cheese. Those things aren't bad, but you don't have protein readily available. Therefore, it becomes super easy to lean into more fatty food because string cheese is available for your kiddos. So what we talked a lot about last week was not just prepping your carbs and your veggies, but really making sure you have 3 different proteins, guys. That's all it takes. Have 3 different proteins in your refrigerator. And as Haley said, it could be chicken flavored 3 different ways. And that's going to help you make planning your meals going forward so much easier. So that was one of the big things, Haley, that we talked about because we really went through that discussion of we leaned into fat so much, and the reason is because they're readily available in the refrigerator. The cutlery board or whatever that might be. It just becomes easy. So that's a lot of what we talked about. And I know you want to talk about as well as Jen how to season our proteins.
Yes, absolutely. So if you come into the kitchen, because I like to meal prep on Saturdays, I have the crock pot that I'm cooking some chicken in right now. So this
I
is a
love
great
crock
kitchen
pot.
tool. Yes. It's super easy. You set it and forget it, right? So you just throw all your seasonings in there. You throw the raw chicken in there and you just turn it on and let it go.
Set it
Easy
and forget
breezy.
it.
Yep, set it and forget it. So right now I'm doing a barbecue chicken because my kids like shredded barbecue chicken. And honestly, it's like my favorite snack right now. I have it with avocado. And so I kind of like mash it up and then I just throw my avocado on top of there. But the way that I season it is I put a little bit of chicken bone broth in there is really good to add to any of your meats or veggies or grains even. So I have a little bit of that in there to give it some moisture. And then I threw some barbecue sauce, some garlic, some onion powder, and what else did I put in there? Oh, I put some of this sweet and smoky rub in there. So
let me ask you about your barbecue sauce. Do you use plain old barbecue sauce?
oh yeah, I use the one with the corn syrup and the high fructose corn syrup and lots of sugars. No, 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 no,
No? Can you tell
no,
them a little bit more about
no.
your sugars and that fancy little spice you had there?
So I use a lot of G. Hughes or Walden Farms sauces and seasonings because if you look at the back of it, it has 2 grams of carbs and it has 0 sugars in it. So it doesn't have any of that stuff that's not good for you in there. So that's what I use.
No artificial bullshit.
Yes, yes. And this one does have 4 grams of carbs, and it does have 3 grams of sugar, but I just use, a little bit of this in there. So some of these grill mates, you have to be careful of the sugars and the carbs in there. But again, you're shooting for less than 3 grams of sugars in there, and you just have to watch out for your serving size, how much you're actually putting in there. Like, am I dumping half of this jar in there? No, I'm just sprinkling a little bit on there for a little bit of seasoning and flavor. Onion powder, garlic powder, it doesn't, nothing. Like, it doesn't have anything in it. Just basically what it is. It's garlic and onion just ground up into a powder. So those are my go-to seasonings for like my barbecue flair.
I love it.
Yeah. And then I'm also going to make some chicken. I'm going to make an Asian style chicken, and I'm going to make a lemon and herb chicken. So there you go. I have my chicken, and I made it 3 different ways. And not only can I make it with 3 different seasonings, but I can also cook it different ways. I can bake it. My go-to is my smoker, because I got that for Mother's Day a couple of years ago. And so that's my household kitchen tool that I love to use all the time. I smoke everything. And then we have the crock pot. So there you have it. My meats are going to be made 3 different ways, 3 different flavors. So that's what's going on over here with my proteins today.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna go ahead, Haley.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna jump in on that. I think I love that Jenn is doing it a few different ways, because that's also something we want to keep in mind, because when you're cooking your proteins, the different styles of cooking actually give you a different sort of texture that comes with it. So you can also think about ahead of time what you might be using those with and how you want to cook it. So I know that sounds really weird, but it actually makes a difference. So if with the roasting, if you're grilling or using a smoker, I like those because you get a little bit more of a crispiness to that outside edge. So the trick to that, and I think we need to, it's always nice to know how to actually get that crisp on the outside, is that you need to actually remove the moisture from your protein before you put your rub on. So that is an important part. If you skip that, you actually won't get as much of a nice little brown, crispy crust, which is wild. But the rubs are, I've got so many rubs, but there's rubs, there's rubs for beef, there's rubs for chicken. I got these at a small town in Oklahoma. So I've got different rubs. This is Dirty Bird.
Okay, Dirty Bird.
But again, as Jenn said, and I think this is a good one to reiterate, is even when you get a spice mix, look at the back and see what it says. These have 0 sugar in them, which is amazing. When you find some rubs, they actually have a lot of sugar in them. So always look at the ingredients, even if it's a dry spice, because you have no idea. Something as simple as I got this green chili rub when I was wandering through New Mexico.
Yeah.
These sort of dried chili rubs are really good because you can put it on your chicken or beef and grill it or smoke it. But you can also add it to bone broth and put it into the crock pot. And now you have an entirely different flavor for your chicken. So those are ones that I think are really good for again, getting a little bit of a sear on that outside edge. But for instance, if I want to do something that is going to be more of a, I want the chicken to be more tender, I want it to be a little bit more flavorful. This is where we can also change up things and make it super easy for us. Is grilling and smoking are going to give you that outside edge. Baking is also going to keep things pretty juicy. But when you're baking, you have the marinade on the outside. And you can use several different types of marinades. I'm going to talk about some of those in a minute because there's some beautiful at-home ones we can make. And again, things to pay attention to. But I think one spot that's overlooked for chicken that I absolutely love, and it's super easy. It takes like 15 minutes, is poaching chicken. I don't know if you guys have ever done that before, but it sounds really boring. What?
I was going to ask a question. I'm raising my
Yeah.
hand. So I think I did this once and I really liked it. Wrapping it is it a form of poaching when you wrap it in parchment paper and bake it?
So that's a French word that I can't pronounce. But yes, it's similar.
Okay. But I was wait, I think I've done that and it was beautiful.
Yeah. And you can also like just do it right on the stove. So, you take your saucepan, you put a couple of cups of water, you put a couple of chicken breasts in, but you layer it with tons of herbs. And this is where we can start to get those like aromatics in. We can use like basil and thyme and sage, like those herb bundles that you see at the store. Garlic, onions, you put that into the water with the chicken. And when the water starts to boil and the chicken starts to cook, it infuses the flavor all the way into the chicken. And it's like divine. So you can do that like easily on the stove. Or to Jules' point, you can also do it in parchment paper. So you take parchment paper, you wrap the chicken, put all of your aromatics in there, the herbs, you can put in lemon, you can put in lime, garlic, seal it up. And then when you pop it into the oven, it steams and infuses the flavor as well. And you don't get that like outside coating. You don't get that outside crustiness. But I find that that's really lovely for if I'm doing like some sort of shredded chicken dish. If I'm going to be reheating the chicken, because you know how chicken can get a little dry?
Yeah.
Poaching the chicken is actually really super juicy because you're cooking it in liquid. So whenever you're like reheating it later, it doesn't dry out as much, which is kind of amazing. So like
that's what I really liked about that.
Yeah.
I can't remember, somebody taught me that and I loved it because it would stay really juicy because I reheat foods a lot. Yep.
Yeah. It does. It does. Yeah. And when we're talking about marinades, like I love that you guys have the pre-made ones. Like, as you guys said, we need to pay attention to what we're looking for with that. But making your own marinades at home is also really easy, depending on what sort of flavor profile you're wanting to go for. So one of the bases that we see for a lot of marinades is going to be a lot of olive oil. We're actually nixing that. We don't need it. It's not necessary. So if we're making a marinade at home, it could be something as simple as finding your acid, and that can be like a vinegar, and then adding in your herbs and spices, and just like letting it linger for a little bit before you cook it. Like super easy. With your lemon juice, lime juice. Now let's talk vinegar really quick because this is going to get into what we talk about with the vegetables as well. Vinegars are amazing. So yeah, Jen, you've got the rice vinegar there. I don't see the other one.
I have rice vinegar, red wine vinegar. I've got apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, I've got champagne vinegar. I've got sherry vinegar. There's some like really incredible Asian ones. Like this is a black vinegar. Now what's nice about vinegars is these are actually really good for your digestion. So having vinegars is like a probiotic boost every day. And you can cook with these or obviously like drizzle them on your vegetables or your meat. So all of those ones are vinegars that are like 0 calories and 0 sugar.
Right.
So what we need to think about is our lovely balsamic vinegar.
I love it.
Balsamic vinegar is amazing, but it's also full of sugar and full of calories.
Yeah.
So this is a super fancy bougie chef balsamic that we were given. This has 57 calories for one tablespoon. I was like, 57 calories for 1 tablespoon. So if you're putting this on a salad and you're not counting for that extra 57 calories, that adds up.
Yeah.
So just like keeping in mind, you really want to look at the nutrition label. So this is a super fancy one. Some of the ones in the grocery stores, they might be 20 calories, but still that extra sugar really adds up.
Yeah. No, I love that you're saying that because it's so common. We find so often. Those of you that are tuning in, I see you, Darcy. Yes, I do love. Darcy loves adding mustard, garlic, monk fruit, and onion powder to her vinegar. That's kind of cool.
Yep.
But as guys, like as you're tuning in and you're listening, like this is probably the number one struggle that I see with women. Like we really don't look at nutrition labels. And that's for all of you guys tuning in that are listening and meeting us for the first time, to those of you guys that have been around for a while and you're in the aesthetic freedom tribe. It's really common that we see along the line until you guys really get deeper into the program. We just don't look at nutrition labels. Well, I added XYZ to my food. And, a lot of times Haley, Jen, or I will be like, did you look at the label? And, and then it's common. Don't feel bad. And you're like, oh, well, no, because we think because it's a liquid or a powder or anything that it just doesn't have any calories. We sometimes think this about collagen and things like that. Like we don't turn around and like look at it. And then, when we ask you the question, to Haley's point, like, well, I've been adding that to 4 meals a day for the past 7 days. Well, add up that 50 calories that Haley just told you about the vinaigrette that you're putting on every single, meal because it tastes good. That's 50, 50, 50, 50. Like all of a sudden, suddenly you have 500, sometimes 1,000 calories. I mean, to tell a cute story to relate to this is we once had a woman in the tribe, a girl in the tribe, and she had really kind of plateaued. And 100, 100% on her nutrition, 100% on everything. And I got her to start logging her food, and I started peeking in under logs, and she was adding a collagen. This was actually a collagen, and she was about 3 times during the day. It was 85 calories. Now, it didn't do her any harm, but we had plateaued her, and she was like, I don't understand. I'm doing everything right. Something as simple as that. So, whether it's the seasoning that you're putting on that's got sugar or extra calories, you just got to pay attention to the label. So, I'm really glad you brought that up, Haley, because it's huge. And we find it so often. I mean, we think about it when we go to Starbucks. Oh, it's just a drink. It doesn't.
Oh, good Lord.
I know we're not talking about that, but
it's
many
a meal.
go to Starbucks and you guys don't realize you're drinking 800 calories.
Right.
That's not a bullshit lie. That's facts.
Yeah.
But because we're drinking it, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to go on that, but I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and I think it's good for us to like explore what those other options are, like for marinades to cook. I love that that mustards were brought up. Mustards are incredible for like infusing extra flavor. And if you go to the grocery store, you notice like there's like 6 shelves of different mustards because you've got you got regular organic. I mean, you get this jalapeno mustard is phenomenal. This is so good.
It is.
Dijon mustards, spicy mustards, all the different mustards that you can use to be able to marinate your meat. You can pop it in, into a bag with some other acid, and you're good to go. And like if you're doing fish, actually just a small coating of mustard over the top of the fish and broiling it is phenomenal. That's like one of my favorite ways to do fish. It's so good.
I'm so happy to hear you say it. People think I'm weird when they see me put mustard on my fish, and I think it's like the bomb.
Oh God, it's the best. It's totally the best.
I'm like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, that's actually I do a lot of broiling. My kitchen is really small. I don't have a microwave. I don't have an air fryer. I don't have any of those fancy gadgets. So it's like I have to be pretty minimal with what I do, but broiling is like one of my favorite ways to do fish because it doesn't smell the house up as much. And it cooks both sides evenly because you're getting, if you preheat the broiler hot enough, the bottom is already going to sear the fish, and you're getting the flames from the top that broil it and give you that nice crispiness. Oh, it's beautiful. So those are like some extra things that we can do as we're putting those in. But yeah, the meats, the proteins, man, they are the most important thing, to your point, Jules, to have sitting at home. So it's easy for you to just grab and go. And you've been working all day. You come home, it's been 8 hours. You stuck 2 hours in traffic. You got to get the kids and take them to soccer, or you got something going on. If you can just reach into your fridge and grab a portion of protein to take with you, as opposed to stopping at like a fast food joint, like you're ahead of the game. It's like, it's so easy.
Yep.
So like, I'll talk to you about the single girls way. So I can meal prep, I do meal prep. But I mean, to talk about their point, guys, like I have protein in my refrigerator. Now I use a different company, but they're all bulk prepped. Ground turkey. So you can do this thing that I use called Love. They bulk prep my food for me. Meals, and then I have everything that I need in my refrigerator. So ground beef, grilled chicken, already seasoned for me. Sorry guys for all the noise. Like I just put it in containers, and then this is ground turkey. And then what I do to like talk about what we were talking about, or what we were like Haley was saying about having those available. Like I've already done this. I do this every day. So I get up in the morning and I make my breakfast. I'm just one person, but shit happens during the day. So I like to be prepared. So by having bulk, all of this prepared, these are my meals for the day. Like they're done. They're done. Like I happen to have them sitting there right now because I'm actually going to be going out and running some errands later today. And these are the 3 that I'm taking with me that I haven't eaten. So everything, I just build them for the day and I go. So while my breakfast is cooked, I'm weighing out and building my meals. So, but I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have the bulk prep made and seasoned different ways. So I like that you brought that up. And I just want to say, like, there's different ways of doing it too. So do I know how to meal prep? Yes. Do I bulk prep? Yes. Do I do it this way? Yes. So you have different options. So that's my single girl thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, at me.
Yeah, like, and on that note, I mean, like for me, I don't meal prep just once a week. I do that like 2 or 3 times a week. So I actually have my meals planned from Monday through Sunday. Like I already know exactly what I'm having for every meal. And then as I am cooking my dinner on Sunday night, that makes my meals for Monday and Tuesday. And then when I cook my meals on Wednesday night, I cook extra, and that becomes Friday or Thursday and Friday. So I do that throughout the week. That works for my schedule. Yeah. But it doesn't give me more work. I'm just cooking more at one time on those evenings, and it's totally fine. And it also helps with my school lunches for my kids, because then I already have their lunches done as well. Like everything is already meal prepped for them, and I'm not then grabbing, something awful that they shouldn't be eating. So like they have a lot of the same foods that we do. It's the vegetables and the lean protein and a carbohydrate that they have with every meal. And it's just habit. Like this is what goes into your meal every day. And they might not have as much spice as I would like, but that's okay. They're kids. So that is like, yeah, there's different ways to do it, but it is like I always know, I grocery shop Sunday morning. That's when I go to the farmer's market and I do my grocery shopping. And then I know Wednesday afternoon, because I'm really close to a grocery store that I like, that's when I do my next feed in a couple of things that I might need for the week. And then I cook that evening, and I do the same thing on Friday. So it's like it's a cycle. And when you find what works for you, put it on your calendar. Like this is a non-negotiable that you need to have for yourself to make it work. And
Yeah. Jen meal preps every Saturday. That's why you find us here. That's what she does, you know. And like Haley's talking about, I think Jen even talked about it. Like she's like Haley, so I think
did. Yeah.
Jen's approach is a little different than Haley. She does everything on Saturday, but she has a family too, unlike me. And Haley's talking about prepping for the kids. She's prepping for her kids too. She just seasons things differently. She bulk preps and seasons things maybe one way for herself. And as Haley says, they're kids. So maybe you're doing a little extra for them, or your husband doesn't like. If you bulk prep the food one way, you have so much versatility with it. Like if the family doesn't like the fact that you like your food seasoned spicy, you can season something different for the kiddos.
yeah.
So, and I bring this up because both of you ladies have kids, and we hear all the time, well, my kids aren't going to want to eat like that. My family's not going to want to eat like that, healthy. And I think we make things a bigger challenge than they really need to be. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when it's available for them, like when you don't have the other stuff and you have what you have in your refrigerator, that are the proteins and the veggies and the grains and all that stuff, like they're hungry, they're going to eat what's available in the fridge and in the pantry. So if you just choose not to have those things in there, they like them just fine. It's like my oat pancakes, like they like them just fine. They don't know any different of oat flour or wheat flour,
Oh, that cracks me up. She's got her kids eating oatmeal and egg pancakes. I see we have some new viewers, guys, so I'm just going to kind of recap. So welcome. If you guys are here, hashtag I am here. Drop your name so we know you're here. We are taking questions. I'm kind of keeping an eye on the side of it. But what we're doing right now is we're meal prepping, getting spicy with Jen and Haley. We're talking about not just how to make meal prep easy, but how you can create different flavors in the kitchen, and really how meal prep doesn't have to be exhausting, guys. It's not this big, overwhelming thing. We did our entire live last week chatting back and forth like this in an hour. It was a long live, but the reality of it, and it's probably going to happen this time too, is Jen was meal prepping the entire time and she was done in an hour. It's not that hard, but we make things huge. So I love that these ladies are like spreading, like, or sharing like these easy tips for you guys, because I think we just overthink it. We just got to keep it super simple.
Yeah. And like Haley was saying, like she has certain days that she does things. I talked about it last time too, breaking it up. Like, and I don't like grocery shopping on the weekends because it's just crazy busy. So I usually will do evenings, Thursday or Friday. And then I have all my groceries ready to go. I can wash my vegetables and have them out. Actually, I do have them. See, I have them out, wash them, and let them dry. So that way, when I'm ready to go to meal prep on Saturday, I have it in little stages. So I'm not like overwhelmed with, having to spend so much time, doing everything all on the same day. So.
Yeah. I love that. What are you doing right now, Jen?
I'm cutting up some garlic and cilantro. And I was going to throw my rice in the rice cooker and make like a cilantro, garlic, lime rice for the week.
Oh, so you don't have to buy that prepackaged shit, that cilantro, lime, and has all the different artificial shit in it?
No. No, you can make your own right here, and it's nice and fresh.
Yeah. I think that's like a good point though, is like to think about like how you are cooking things and whether you want to use your fresh spices or you want to use something in a jar. Like that's going to be a little different depending on what you're doing. So there's so many options, but you can find fresh herbs at every grocery store now. They're available in every produce section. Preferably finding the organic herbs, because they are so thin, they can absorb more of the pesticides, which are not great for us. So finding organic herbs, and when you get home, put them into a jar with like a little tiny bit of water at the bottom to keep them fresh.
Yes.
It's a really good way to do that. And they also look really pretty. Like when you have them just like setting in your kitchen, like on on the counter, then it reminds you to use them, and you can play around. So there is, are you going to just like use them whole for a little bit of infusing with flavor, or are you dicing them up, chopping them up, putting them into a marinade, or are you going to saute or grilled turkey with some fresh herbs? Like these are all things that you can do to create more flavor within your foods, which is great for our gut health too. Like the more herbs and spices we use, the better it is for our gut health, which is better for our overall health. So we want to lean into these and different ones, so if we are like, you can get there's, tons of spice mixes that you can use, like citrusy garlic. This is one at Trader Joe's.
Oh, I have that one. I love it.
Cuban style citrus garlic. You got ranch seasonings. You got everything but the bagel.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I know, they're so good. But like, so those are things that you can add in. People always, I don't know why, not people always, but like I find that like anytime I encourage like, using some sort of curry, people are like, ooh, curry's gross. But like there's so many different types of curries out there. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite brands to use is called Macala. And this is it's a whoop, where are we at? There you go. There's my camera. So this is like a lemongrass paste. But they have a red curry, a green curry, a yellow curry, and they are pastes without any extra oil in them. So whenever you're using them, they're great for marinating. You can, use pretty much any type of meat with them, and they taste phenomenal. So it's, where can you find that? If you're doing something, more Indian, Thai, Vietnamese flavored, you can use something along that line, because that's going to be your curries and your corianders, garlic, ginger, cinnamon. If you're leaning more on that, like more, you want to do like something Latin American, a little more Mexican, then it's, then it's adding chipotles. Like I love chipotle peppers. These things are amazing. I love the smokiness of it, but you got chipotle, you've got, you can use some paprika, you can use chili powder, garlic powder, oregano in your Mexican flavors to mix that in. Obviously, like you can do Italian, like all of these different spices that you can just have at home to mix and match, and create an entirely different meal just by what you're, like how Jenn's doing with her lemon pepper chicken and her Asian chicken. Like, don't be afraid to mix and match those through. It's a lot of fun. So
yeah, and I love what you said, because I think a lot of people forget, like we talk about that in the beginning, like things like cinnamon and certain herbs are healthy for your gut. Like every single pepper there is out there, from black pepper to red pepper to hot pepper, is amazing to actually help increase your metabolism, not just gut health. Like it increases the thermic heat in your body. So if you love pepper, like do it. And then, I just had to toss this in because I hear this all the time. People are programmed to be afraid of salt. And unless you have high blood pressure, you should be using salt, because most of us, specifically in the summer, because it's electrolytes, it's replenishing your body. Like unless there's a certain reason, and sea salts, pink Himalaya salt, these are some of really great seasonings, and they are actually replacing your electrolytes. I add pink Himalaya salt to my water in the summer intra-workout, because you are pouring so much sweat. You need to be putting that back into your body. A lot of people say they're getting dizzy during workouts. One of my first favorite questions to say is, have you been salting your food? No, I don't salt my food. It's bad. Well, that's why you just fell off the Stairmaster, because you're dizzy. Like I think we forget about that. Like we deem certain things as bad. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, and you totally jumped ahead on me with the salt, Jules.
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking about it. I was like,
No, like, cause I love salt. My whole family, like, we love salts. They're a huge part of flavoring, which we can forget about. So when we are looking at, so we can do all of these amazing things with our proteins, and then a lot of times we want to do the salt at the end, not when we're cooking it. We want to use the salt as our finisher to be able to enhance the flavor, as opposed to making salty ground turkey meatloaf or salty, salty chicken breast. Like, we can over salt and not realize it. So when we want to add those back in, they are, I love finishing salts. Like, I have Malden salt, I've got the Malden sea salt, but then there is, I have a curry salt. Like, this curry salt, it is so amazing on eggs and on chicken and rice. It's phenomenal. So this is like, you can find curry rices. There's truffle salts. Truffle salts are good. We stopped in it was like a lot of New Mexico last year. But Los Poblanos is this like beautiful ranch that is famous for more of their lavender, but they do these incredible salts where, like, this one tastes like it's like a more of a campfire. Like, it's really smoky. One that already has like Mexican spices in it, which is great. One that has herbs in it. It has herbs in it so that it is giving you more of like a Mediterranean flavor. This smoked salts are amazing. So you got, like, I have a bunch of smoked salts that I use that are great for meats, that because I don't have a smoker, I like the smoky taste. Smoked salts are going to give that to you. Malden salt, this is an applewood smoked salt. And then to Julie's point of like all of these incredible, like, I don't have my pick Himalayan salt out here, but like this is a black lava Hawaiian sea salt. So it has different minerals that you would get because it's a black salt. And this is a red lava Hawaiian salt. So
good for you.
Wherever you're at, like, have fun and like find these incredible, spices that you might not be able to get someplace else. So salts are going to be, you can use on everything. So when we're like, like that's like I was playing to, like, I've got so many things in my kitchen.
I know, and hear what she said. So like, it's salt, like, is a mineral. Salt is a mineral. So, and then some of the ones she was talking about are infused with different minerals. We need minerals in our body. Salt is one of the minerals that we need. So it's a mineral. It's not what's sometimes can be bad is when they process it and things like that. But yeah, it's a mineral, guys.
Yeah, for sure. And so I see Jen is cutting up some vegetables, because that's next. We want to talk about like how we can also ramp up our vegetables.
Guys, do you guys have any questions? I don't see. I see a lot of you watching. If you're good, if you love this information, drop us some fire. If you've got a question, pop it in the comments. We'll make sure to answer it. But if you're doing good, drop these ladies some fire. All right, Haley, I just wanted to make sure we checked in with our audience.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna season some vegetables.
Right now I'm chopping up some cauliflower and some Brussels sprouts, and I'm going to throw some sweet potatoes on there, and we're going to season it up, and we're going to bake it in the oven.
How are you seasoning them?
I've got some fresh herbs. I've got chives. I've got parsley. I've got some scallions. I have some fresh garlic. So we're going to do some herbs and onion and garlic. And
did you say you have Brussels sprouts?
Yeah.
Those are my favorite. I love
They're so good. Look,
crispy Brussels sprouts. That's my favorite.
Look at that. Delicious.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it all on one sheet. So I just have to measure my sweet potatoes because my sweet potatoes, you have to measure before. So I have to know like how much I'm going to be eating, like how many servings.
Oh, got it. Bulk prepping. I love that.
You know, yeah, because if you measure them before, so like I measured them before 6 ounces, right? Because that's on my meal plan, and then I cooked them in the air fryer, and I measured them afterwards, and they weigh out like 3.25 ounces or something. So if you measure them, you have to like if you're in the tribe and you have certain things that are measured out, you have to be careful with is it cooked or uncooked because like I could be eating a lot of sweet potatoes if I measure them after they were
Yeah.
cooked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So actually, that's really good. I want to bring that up because I know there's some new people that are watching. So, and even if you're not in our tribe, if you are watching this for the first time, meeting us for the first time, that's cool. But understanding how foods are measuring. A lot of times it'll tell you how to measure back on that nutrition label. It will tell you how a serving size is measured. So, for example, oats, cream of rice, things like that, they're measured dry. And if you're with us and you have a meal plan from us, you have to really pay attention to how you're weighing or measuring your food. 99% of the time, we're going to have you measuring your food cooked. The only time that it would not be cooked is if it has in parentheses measure dry or measure raw. But like to Jenn's point, like, yes, if you have sweet potatoes or rice on your nutrition plan, or even if you're just tuning in and listening to us and you're trying to, figure out how I do a serving size, or how do I measure out serving size, they're measured cook. And that's the reason why, because you're going to have a shit ton volume more of food if you're doing it in the opposite. And trust me, it's happened. We've had people
Right?
I'm eating so much. I'm so full. And, we're like, well, yeah, you should be full. And then we kind of notice like they're, kind of going and we're like, wait a minute, can you tell us a little bit more about what you're eating on your nutrition plan? And we're like, oh, you've just been doubling your.
Yeah.
Whoops a daisy. So pay attention to that, guys. So if you're with us and you're new to the tribe and you're new to getting a meal plan, make sure that you are looking at your nutrition plan. And the only time that you would be weighing anything that wasn't cooked is if we specifically call that out. But as a rule, that really is with all foods, because if you look at a bag of oats, it's going to tell you weigh dry. That serving size is dry. So we're really just aligning with that, to be honest, when we're writing the plan. So thanks for bringing that up, Jenn, because that's facts. It's another way to get to overeat a little bit.
Yes. Yes. So my kids like vegetables. They love vegetables, and when you season it and you cook them, like how could you not love them? So I think it's just if you just I actually don't mind them raw, but that's just me. So I like vegetables. I like the texture of them. I like the crispiness of them. So that I do like to do it in the air fryer. I do it on the stove top, and I'll put a little bit of olive oil on there, avocado oil spray, and then like my broccoli, my kids love the broccoli, so I'll just sear that a little bit, and then I put a little bit of chicken bone broth in there, and then I'll steam it. And then I'll just cook it just till it's al dente, so that way when they reheat it, it's not like overly cooked. And I know Haley can talk a lot about like the nutrition value of the different ways that you can cook it, and the nutrients, nutrients that are more beneficial with the different ways that you can cook it. Is that correct?
Yeah, to a certain extent, absolutely. And there is like I want to kind of like touch base on something that you had mentioned, like about the texture that you like of vegetables. And I think this is an important part of like, if we are cooking vegetables, a lot of times we don't like it because we don't like the texture of how it's been cooked.
Right.
So I love how you mentioned, like, I'm roasting these vegetables and they're going to be crispy. I think one of those key elements that makes that crispy for you is that you are rinsing your vegetables the night before.
Yep.
When you're rinsing them the night before, they are fully dry when you put them in the oven. If you put vegetables in the oven that have any moisture in them, it's steaming them and it's not roasting them.
Right.
So then they get soggy and they don't get the crispiness. So we need to pay attention to that. And then that also comes into like, how are you seasoning them? If you're seasoning vegetables in the oven, you are going to be using more dry spices, not fresh spices, and not using like a ton of marinades because that's going to be a different texture. They could be a little soggy. It depends on the vegetable. But you know, we definitely want to look at, when we're picking vegetables, something that is the more organic we can go, the better. Just from like a pesticide perspective, they actually do not have more nutrients than conventionally grown vegetables. But organic has less pesticides, which is better on our body and better for hormones and all of the wonderful things. So looking for those. And if it is, I personally will find that if I'm doing fresh vegetables, I love them roasted because they just have so much more flavor. If for some reason vegetables are not available fresh for you and you're using more frozen vegetables, then you can also like tweak those as well. Frozen vegetables, I think, do tend to be a little more mushy. So one of the things that I will do with that is then, as opposed to cooking them frozen, is I will let the bag completely de-thaw so that they're like fresh, watery. And then I will like take paper towels and take some of the moisture out and then put it in the oven. And actually do it in the oven on super high heat, so it like flash cooks them. Okay. So they're not sitting in the moisture even longer. It just like they get crispy on the outside after you put your spices on, and they taste so much better. So that's kind of a good one. But I think to Jenn's point as well is also, if you're cooking them on the stove, this is where so you can infuse flavors when you are roasting them by what you are sprinkling on top. But on the stove is a really beautiful way to also increase that. So in like a nonstick skillet, you can, put your vegetables in. So just a word of note, and I think this is good to know, depending on the actual skillet that you're using, you don't have to add any oil. You don't have to spray oil at all. So one of the things that most people do is, if it's a nonstick skillet, we spray it with some sort of oil. Like, it's nonstick. If you spray it with oil, you actually take away the nonstick surface. So I use a lot of like ceramic coated, so that it doesn't have the other gross stuff in it. So ceramic coated, but like Jenn had mentioned, cooking with bone broth. So that's a wonderful way to infuse more flavor into your meals with the other herbs and spices. So if you are putting your vegetables in to the pan, a little bit of bone broth, that is where, because you're cooking with more steam, you can use fresh herbs. You can put in some, garlic, onion, scallions, like she's using, things along that line to impart more flavor. And then you are, having a crispier vegetable and steaming it with a bunch of flavor all at the same time. So kind of a nice little trick.
All right, we have a question, Haley. Yep. Haley, I missed the beginning part of what you put in jars when food prepping. Can you go over that again? I think maybe the herbs.
Oh, yes. Yeah, just the herbs. So whenever you're buying fresh herbs, because they tend to spoil really quickly, that's also a reason why I go to the grocery store every few days. So with fresh herbs, if you you can, hold on, set down. Okay, fresh herbs, wonderful for you. So fresh herbs, when you get them home, if you just take a jar or a cup, put a tiny bit of water at the bottom, and you can and put the herbs in, it will help to keep them fresher longer. So that is helpful. And then the other, and I was like, oh wait, hold on, that's right. So I hate food waste. Food waste annoys me to no end. And when I haven't used as much of the fresh herbs as I would like, just due to whatever it is that I was cooking, what you can do to kind of save them for later is when they're like, if I don't use these in the next day, they're gonna be, they're gonna get spoiled. Take those fresh herbs, dice them up, put them into an ice cube tray with a tiny bit of water, and then freeze it. And now you have fresh herbs that are ready for you to just like take out of the freezer, pop out one ice cube, pop it into the pan with your vegetables or with your meat, and you have fresh herbs right there.
That's nice.
So that's kind of I totally forgot about that's another way to work that through.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then also like remembering yes, you can cook with bone broth, but some other things that you can do that are also really fun are I also do a lot of Asian style cooking, like ponzu or soy sauce or Bragg's is a really good way to impart some extra flavor. This is a smoked soy sauce. This stuff is amazing. Again, if you want to have a smoky flavor, add some sort of smoky flavor to your vegetables, you can do a smoked soy sauce. It's going to be one way you can do it. You could add, the ponzu, get you some citrus. If you want to have a little bit more umami that comes in with it, rather than just squeezing some lemon or lime on it. You can use fish sauce. This actually gives a really fun flavor to pretty much any dish that you're cooking. This is one of those secret ingredients that chefs use in all of their dishes that no one knows about. So you can use a little bit of fish sauce. I know it sounds so gross, but it's really not. A few little drops, and it just it enhances the flavor. So you can use these ideas to take boring old broccoli and turn them into something really amazing with how you are cooking it with these different spices and herbs to be able to create a new flavor. Bone broth. If you're looking for chicken bone broth, again, I know this is what Jenn has the other version of the Trader Joe's one, but look for the organic bone broth, because anything that's in the bones of that animal is getting leached down into the bone broth. And how can we keep ourselves healthier? Yeah. Gonna keep ourselves healthy. Yay! So there's ways that we can pop that in really easily for us. And then the vegetables hold up really nicely for, you can cook those at the beginning of the week, and they're great for the entire week for your meal prep. So like how Jenn is doing.
Yeah. And I love in the beginning, Jenn was talking about, and you were talking about the different ways of the vegetables and the textures, because I wanted to lean into that. A lot of people don't like textures, but there's so many ways you can cook vegetables, like asparagus. Some people don't like asparagus, but I love asparagus. But you can cook it in an air fryer, and you get this crispy, crunchy. I think it's better than French fries sometimes, with a little mustard and salt on it, and I will do that sometimes. But you could also do the same thing with those asparagus in the onion, in the oven, or zucchini. You cut it up into chips, things like that. So you can have vegetables in different textures. And even listening to Jenn, she's she's sweet potatoes. So many times sweet potatoes boring. You can make sweet potatoes so many different ways. You can cut it up and have it as a fry. If you bake it, you can mash it as a potato. You can cook it in your, what is that, Instapot? Oh, I love Instapot. You can bake them. There's just so many different things that you can do. I think, it's about thinking outside the box, guys, too. Not with just the spices, but with how you cook and prep things.
Yeah. Another way is a little more time consuming ish with the sweet potatoes, but if you really want to impart a good flavor internally as well, and just kind of if you like how Jenn is doing, if you start to bake them and you get them, you par bake them. So about halfway through the cooking time, you take it out of the oven and you Hasselback it, which means that you're slicing, you're not going all the way down to the bottom, but you're creating slices so that it kind of opens up inside. And then you put some herbs inside there at that point in time, a little bit of a marinade, and then you continue to cook it. It just really transforms the potato into something entirely different, because then it's not something you're sprinkling on at the end. It is just pulling those flavors. It's lovely.
Wow.
So that is
so many different ways.
Yeah, there are tons of different ways.
I have a feeling that's Amber. Whomever this masked person is that I can't see their name says, I love asparagus in the air fryer, sprayed with avocado oil, Himalaya salt. My daughter loves it too. It's Maggie Amber. She loves that.
Oh my God,
She eats so many asparagus. It's crazy. But that makes me, while you guys are doing your thing, I want to talk about something else that I think people forget about. Mine is almost empty. But, we talk about these sprays, which are great. They're sprays. But we look at the nutrition labels. So here's where nutrition labels can trick you. And this is why we talk about this. It says it has 0 calories, 0 fat, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, right? But if you go up to the very top, it has 529 servings in here. And one serving size is 1/3 of a second. 0.25 grams, guys. That's like 1/3 of a second isn't even one push on here. So think about that when you grab your pan and you're doing this. Now, is it as bad as drenching things with oil? No, but I'm telling you, it's not 0 calories when you're even if you take it for a second. So just think about that. And that is one of the tricks of a nutrition label. So if you look at the nutrition, they're tricking you. All sprays do the same thing. So just know that. Is it a better option than dousing something in a bottle of olive oil or avocado? Yes, but know that it's truly not 0 calories at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because that's where we always overdo it. We don't take those little tiny pieces into account. So
speaking of oils,
yeah.
I actually have an off brand. I love coconut oil. I cook with coconut oil a lot. Necessarily, I think we lost Haley. I don't use it it's actually one of the fats currently in my nutrition program, and sometimes we utilize it as a fat. Like when you're looking at fats, guys, if you're in our program, you'll notice we use a lot of avocado, sometimes coconut oil, seeds, nut butters as oils. And if you're tuning in and you're listening to us, and you're not really, you're what kind of fats are healthy for us. And I just happened to think about that. Coconut oils, avocado oils are good sources. So are straight up avocados, nuts, seeds, things like that could be very healthy fats that you can include into that aren't refined. And because refined fats really can start to cause inflammation and are probably part of the problem when you feel super inflamed and are having a hard time, not just bloated, I mean inflamed all over. That's a lot of the time coming from refined oils, which live in most processed foods, aka chips, crackers, shit like that. But yeah, I thought about it. I like coconut oil. I currently have it, as I said, a fat in my nutrition plan. It's just creamy, when you add it in. And I believe it has gut health properties to it too, doesn't it, Haley?
It does, yeah. And and I think that's a good point. That there is depending on the oil that you're using, and also what you're doing with it. Mm-hmm. Olive oil, we all cook in olive oil. It's not meant to be heated as high as we're cooking with it. Coconut oil and avocado oil are going to be better for high heat cooking because it doesn't oxidize and then, create some challenges in our body. So olive oil is really good for lower to medium heats. So thinking about kind of what you're using, how you're heating that. And yeah, I mean, we need healthy fats in our diet. We need healthy fats in our diet, but we also need healthy carbs. And I think that is there's so many, oh God, Americans in these fad diets, low fat, no carbs, blah, blah, blah. Like none of it works. Like when you eat a balanced diet and you actually like eat for your body, you can stay pretty healthy. So like carbohydrates are coming from, all of your vegetables, and they're also coming from your grains and rices and the other sources. So like when we're looking at fats, we're adding in fats from other, from sources that are pure, like our olive oils and avocado oils. But then we're also getting that with some of our vegetables and some of our meats as well. So like we're getting these in different areas. We just have to figure out how much we need for our body to not, like blow up and get inflamed, and eating for what our maintenance is. Like carbohydrates are great. Like that is the source of fuel for us. Like that is what our body runs off of. We need them, and we strategically need to have carbohydrates, like more complex carbohydrates and the grains and starchy carbohydrates at certain times during the day that we know scientifically help with workouts and with energy and whatnot. So I think that's like a good thing for us to kind of delve into, because we're we're prepping vegetables and protein, but we also have that little added fat that we've talked about. And what are we doing with our carbohydrates that are going to be those traditional ones that we think of for meal prep? Quinoa, the grains, spelt, farro, rice, and all of that, because those are really fun too. And we just like get boring with it because we just cook it and then we're like, all right, it's white rice.
Crispy rice.
Yeah. Well, and so here we go. Like this is so I got all my rices. I couldn't get my basmati rice out because it was just like way too tucked away. But like, so I have a bunch of different rices at home. So like my jasmine rice, my basmati rice, my sushi rice, and like my black pearl rice. So like this is black rice. It has like a different. So all of these have the exact same calorie count as each other. So, but they all have like different flavors and different profiles that are easy for us to like have fun with. And that is, between rices, but also the quinoas, whatever. You can have white quinoa, red quinoa, you can have tricolor quinoa. Like you've got all these different things that we can add in, red lentils, brown, green, like the possibilities are endless. But like, what are we doing to make those taste a little bit better? So like something as simple as sushi rice, like I like to use this if I'm doing more of like an actual bowl, because it sticks together, it clumps together more. But I'm not putting in like the sugar and the other stuff to make it sushi rice, because that's what they do to get it to be sweet. But like I cook this, and let it, then it becomes again like a little bit gelatinous, and that's fantastic. And then I like to put a little rice wine vinegar in it, so it does get that little bit of the Asian flavor. So you can do something like that.
You know what else you can do with that? I gotta tell you. So like, I use that sushi rice that's sticky the same way you do. I cook it, and then I have one of those little mini, I'm sure you can do it a different way, waffle makers that you buy at Target, the Dash. You put it in there, and you get a rice crisp. Yep. So if you have, say, you're going to eat rice and fish, you can make yourself a little rice crisp and put your fish on it. Like that is, I love doing that little trick. But I use sushi rice to do it because I once tried it with regular rice and I was like, why is this not working? Yeah, but you need the sushi rice to have the sticky, stick it in the waffle maker and have it make it crisp. Sorry, I had to add that because I like to crunch sometimes. So if you like to crunch, there you go.
Yeah, you do. You turn it into a crispy rice cake, but you don't have to deep fry it. You can just put it in the waffle maker, or if you are, make it into a patty and then put it into your skillet, your nonstick skillet, and cook it until it gets crispy on one side. Flip it over, and it's amazing. They're so good.
Yeah, they are.
So so that's something you can do. But then when we're talking about regular rices, if we're going into basmati rice, jasmine rice, just regular white rice, short grain, all of them, the way that we can enhance the flavor is cooking them in something other than water. So I know Jen mentioned this, cooking it in bone broth. You can cook it in chicken broth. You can cook it in beef broth. You can put bouillon in it. And then that's going to infuse more flavor just overall. Yeah.
We've got people here tuning in right now that don't, that aren't in the tribe. So, and I get this question all the time. So I'm going to ask you and have you explain it. There's soup broth and bone broth. Is there a difference between that when I go to the store and I see vegetable broth and then I see chicken broth, but you're talking about bone broth?
Yeah. So a couple of things. Yeah. So when we are, and I'm like, I'm going to apologize right now, but I'm going to have another appointment in 10 minutes. So I'm going to like kind of blow through. So, all right. But when we're talking about bone broth and chicken broth, like there are any broth versus any bone broth, they are different, because when we're thinking of regular broth, this is where they have, like essentially there's some meat, some aromatics that they've boiled and strained, and it's imparted, like it's a flavored water. It's essentially a flavored water. That's really all it is. And the chicken broths, vegetable broths, beef broth, those are going to be very low calorie, flavorful ways to infuse like some extra nutrients and flavor into your cooking. Now, when we're talking about bone broth is like, this has been around for ages. This is part of like how societies have used every part of the animal, is they're taking the bones from said animal and then they are boiling it with aromatics and vinegar that pulls the collagen and pulls all of the minerals and nutrients out of the bone and infuses it into the water. So now this is it's flavorful. It actually is more pungent than broth. So some people are like, I don't like bone broth because it has too much flavor. So bone broth is very flavorful, but it is also anti-inflammatory, gut health. It's going to give you extra protein. But where bone broth, that's where it gets a little bit tricky, is you also need to pay attention to the calories, because you can have a bone broth that has 90 calories, and you can do a regular broth that has 10. So that makes a big difference in what your meals look like when you're going into what the calories will be for each one. And bone broth is I like to cook with it. I love cooking with that to get more flavor into my vegetables. I like cooking with it to get more flavor into my grains, because it infuses more. And you can use one or the other. You can also use one or the other for a soup. If you're doing like a regular soup, then they're going to say use like, chicken broth or chicken stock, which is exactly the same thing.
It's like your sodium.
Yeah. Well, there's that too. But so the differences also in bone broth are going to be stark depending on the brand that you buy. So pay attention to the label, because I have some in my cabinet that they are 90 calories per serving, and I have some that are 150 grams per serving. Same cup, but it's just different with what's in that. So paying attention to that. And then if you are getting it from like a butcher, if you're really focusing on gut health, the bone broth, if you're getting it like truly as like a real bone broth, it's actually gelatinous. Mm-hmm. So it's not a liquid. It is like, it's almost like a gel that when you cook it, it then like turns into a liquid. So it's a little bit creepy, but it tastes really good. A little bit, yeah. And like I've been round and round on this, but it's again making that decision. Like, what flavor profile do you want? What calories you're putting in, and what benefits are you getting from each? You're going to get more health benefits from bone broth, less from the chicken broth. So it's like flavor versus flavor and extra nutrition. So yeah, but there is, so when we're cooking these grains, it is like the possibilities are endless of what we're putting in. Is it, are we cooking like a Mexican style rice and we're putting in some tomato paste and garlic and cumin and oregano, and then letting that steam and infusing into it? Are we doing like a Mediterranean style where we're putting oregano and garlic and bay leaves, and letting that then all infuse together? Is it, gosh, I mean, there's like so many other things we could be doing, like Italian flavored rice, you know, like, or, so you can do that while you're infusing it, or like while you're cooking it. But then like what Jenn's doing today is actually making, is like doing it. Oh, actually, yeah, you're cooking it with that, aren't you? With the cilantro and the garlic and the lime?
The cilantro, garlic, and lime, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you can cook that in there. You know, another thing you can do with your rices and grains is actually make like a marinade. So we talked about marinades before, right? You're doing some sort of acid, like lime, vinegars, lemons, something along that line. Put in some fresh herbs for the flavor profile you want, whatever spices. Put it into like a blender, turn it into a little slurry, and you mix that into the rice. And now you have a fun flavored rice, or quinoa or spelt that you didn't have before. And that's not adding any calories. It's just adding extra nutrition and extra flavor to what would normally be just like kind of a bland sort of flavor.
Huh, I like that idea. I never thought of that.
Yeah, it's good. It's kind of nice. So I actually prefer to do that as opposed to cooking it in the rice for two reasons. Because I can make a jar of like the marinade, and I'll have like a few different flavors. Like I'll do, you know, a Mediterranean flavor, a Mexican flavor, and like an Asian flavor. And I'll have those different marinades and mixes. And then after I am done cooking my rice, then I can mix it into each one, and then it's a different flavor for each day.
That's nice.
So I can do like, you know, here's my Asian style rice to go with my Asian style chicken. Here's my cilantro and lime flavored rice to go with my Mexican flavored chicken. Here's my garlic and onion flavored rice to go with my barbecue chicken. So we can then, you know, piece those together throughout the day. And then it leaves a little bit extra that if you want to put those on your vegetables as well to pull the meal together, you're good to go.
I love that.
That was like really nice. Yeah.
I love that.
And there's like so many things that we can do to like spice up our foods that we forget about.
Yeah.
I know. I don't have a rice cooker either. So there's like, I'm like listening to Jenn. I'm like, God, she's got an air fryer. She's got a rice cooker. Like,
I got all the things.
I'm like living in the 1800s over here. Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's funny. Guys, as we are starting to wrap up here, do you guys have any specific questions for myself or any of the ladies? I see there's still a few of you in here. Feel free to drop questions. Now is the time to ask. And if you guys do happen to watch this on a replay, feel free to drop comments in here. We will come back and answer any questions. But those of you guys that are tuning in right now, what do you think? Have you enjoyed this so far? Do you guys have any questions? Let us know. This has been fun.
All right, got my roasted vegetables right here.
Woo-hoo!
Got my cabbage that I steamed with some rice vinegar. I've got my broccoli going. My sweet potatoes need a little bit of time. Time. No pun intended. Time.
Time. I love that. I love that. So yeah, guys, you know, like as we're going through, everything is getting done. If you guys are watching this, as you can see, like I think we limit ourselves when we say, you know, food is boring. And I think I just want to kind of end it here because these are some of the things that we hear. Like a lot of times, you know, I eat this, you know, eating healthy is boring. It's eating the same thing over and over again. Well, the reality is we just showed you it's really not. That's a choice that, you know, I think that we make. Also, a lot of times I challenge you guys, like, to look at what you're currently eating. You're probably eating the same thing over and over right now. And what it is you're lacking the flavor. You probably go, if you know, unless you're in the traffic, you probably go to Starbucks every morning and grab your latte and your egg bites, and you go to Chick-fil-A or something in the afternoon and you have your Cobb salad, and you probably have a very strong routine, and you're thinking like, this is why I don't eat healthy, because it's boring. We just showed you it's not boring. And and you're leaning to these other things that you are actually eating all the time because of flavor. That's my own 2 cents on that. So I think, you guys are doing that, but like we just showed you, and there's absolutely no reason why eating healthy and mindfully, learning to fuel your body with all the right macronutrients, and that's a whole different training Haley and I did, but like, which you can absolutely tune into. If you go to the guide, you'll find it in there. But like, that's a whole different story, but you can do it, and it doesn't have to be boring. We make it boring by isolating ourselves. So I hope this was super helpful for all of you guys, and learning how to spice up your meal prep with these two pros. Like,
yeah. I mean, and I think, like, to your point, Jules, like, this is something you add in every single day, and it is the more diversity you have in your diet, the better your, the more long-term success you're going to have, even if you are eating the same foods every day. Like, if I feel like one of the big mainstays that we're seeing right now is cottage cheese. Like, it's having this like renaissance. Like, everyone's eating cottage cheese. You know what? Cottage cheese can be sweet or savory depending on how you season it. Like, you don't have to eat it just like straight out of the container. All of the things that we just spoke about translate over to like those other proteins as well. We're talking about, Greek yogurts or cottage cheese. Are you doing something in the morning where you're adding in like some fruits and some cinnamons to like make it a little more sweet? Or are you going to add in, some everything with the bagel seasoning or Chipotle or something, and then eating it with vegetables? Like, this all goes hand in hand, and fruit. Like, fruit is not the enemy. We can have fruits, and fruits are lovely when you actually start to combine them with certain spices and herbs. Like, it just takes them to a whole nother level. But we don't think about doing that with our fruit. Like, cut it up and add some herbs and add some little bits to it. It's really good.
Yeah. Absolutely. And with all of this, guys, you always have to, like we've talked about at the beginning, you need to be, reading the labels and things like that. Like, when you're looking at prepared foods like cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, a lot of times if you're in our tribe, we're writing meal plans for you. We do give you specific ones for a reason. And those of you guys that are just, leaning in and listening to us and learning for the first time, again, it comes to that label. Greek yogurts tend to be a little less in lactose, which is why we tend to prescribe them. But you still you can be tricked by them if you don't turn around and look at the label. They can have a lot of sugar in them. So off the rip, I can tell you, if you're tuning in and you're not aware of this, like, we lean into the 000 from Dannon a lot, because it's actually got a high amount of protein in it and very few sugars. As well as, the same thing with your cottage cheese, guys. Make sure you're just reading the label as to what you're eating. And that goes across the board, with everything. But this was, I think that, it's so true. You can do so many different things with these foods. It's crazy, guys.
I wish you could smell my kitchen right now.
Smell anything?
It just smells so delicious. In fact, it's probably time to eat.
Oh, yeah. I know. I ate while I was here. I was like, oh shit, I gotta get this meal in, because as soon as I'm done, I'm going to the gym. But this was great. I don't see. Here's another question. All right. What do you think of nutritional yeast? I think it's amazing.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Again, looking at the labels, but most of the time it doesn't have much in it. But do read the label.
Yeah. Can I just think?
Oh, totally.
Really quick? So if you guys want to do a really healthy salad dressing, you can actually take a combination of nutritional yeast, take your avocado and use that as your oil. You like mix all this together in like a NutriBullet or something. So you do nutritional yeast, you've got avocado, you can add in garlic, a few other herbs, whatever you want, and then add in some acid, so like a vinegar or lemon juice, and water to thin it out, and it turns into this really amazing, like healthy vinaigrette to put on your food that you're now getting extra fiber because of the avocado, and it's heart healthy, and it's like lower in calories than what you would get with like a traditional vinaigrette.
I love
Pretty
that.
lovely. Yeah,
I love
nutritional
that.
yeast is the best because it gives it an extra flavor, and it gives you so many B vitamins, and is fantastic for you. So
I sprinkle it on my vegetables sometimes.
yeah.
What would you recommend prepping chicken? Okay. Would you guys recommend prepping chicken Sunday for the entire week or breaking it up during the week so it's not dry by the end of the week? Well, I think we talked about this in a couple of different ways. So one, I'll let both of these ladies answer on it, but they both meal prep very differently. And they both have some good tips for chicken not drying out. So I think the answer is yes, you could, but there's a way that you need to approach it, or you could break it up. So Jen, you cook yours for the entire week, right?
Yeah, I do. I just cook it in different ways. So, like the crock pot is going to maintain the best and the most moisture if you're reheating it. But again, like if I grill it just to temperature. Like I don't let it go on for longer than it should. Otherwise I just killed the chicken. So that's another thing is, and then also I actually don't mind it cold. So sometimes I just don't reheat it in the microwave or on the stovetop. So I just don't overcook it. So, but I like to cook everything up for the entire week. And then sometimes I double up and I'll put stuff in the freezer so I can have it for the following week after that.
Yep. And another thing you can do to make sure that you are like getting an even moisture content in your chicken is, how chicken breasts are they're like a little thinner at one end and they get really thick at the other. If you actually pound your chicken breast and get it like a little bit more of an even consistency, and even thickness through the entire breast, whenever you are cooking it, then you now have an even amount of moisture through it, which means that whenever you are pulling it back out, you don't have bits that are like super dry and then other bits that are really juicy. It makes it really pretty. It makes it consistent across the board because now you're doing a consistent cooking time that gets it just to that perfect temperature, and then you're done.
Good tip. Yes.
I like that.
And you can just use a rolling pin for that, like whatever you want to do.
Pound your chicken.
Sure, chicken breast.
Pound your chicken. You're welcome.
Go be your hashtag.
Yeah.
Pound your chicken.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love it. All right, guys. Well, we have been at this for a while, and I know these ladies have someplace to go. So again, you guys feel free to drop your questions if you have any more. But this was fun. Hope you guys got a lot of value, and we'll see you again sometime soon for part 3 of meal prepping.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.